guys, and welcome back to what would be the third installment of a player's viewpoint on The Division. We actually have, a few things to talk about today. One of the things that they talked about, which is today the community developers talked about in their latest State of the Game that they actually do on Thursdays. I think this one actually happened on Wednesday because it was like a holiday or something like that, and they did their server maintenance and patching then. And they gave us a little sneak preview, I should say, or about some info on patch 1.2 is going to come out. I believe that's when the next incursion's coming out, and some of the things they're going to do for that. So a couple of things need to be addressed in the game that I have basically brought up and complained about. Some of this is really terrible loot in the Dark Zone, crafting still being really the only way to get good weapons. You can still get good weapons out of the incursion drop, but again, that involves doing the incursion over and over again and just farming that. They really don't drop out of the Dark Zone much, or really much of anywhere else either. So one of the things they're going to try and address is the loot drop. But like I said in my last video, they need to make loot fall from the heavens like rain. So they basically said that's what we're going to do. We're going to give everyone a whole lot more loot, better quality loot, and hopefully that'll make players happy, which I definitely think it will. We need more loot. The random numbers generator in this game, the RNG in this game, is just so brutal sometimes, and how things can scale and roll to one extent or the other on so many different stats on a particular item, that not only do we want the right stats to be on the item, but then we want them also to roll high. It varies so much, and so it's crazy. It's awesome, but it's crazy, and it's awesome that I love the variance, and to me that's awesome. What's crazy is how long it takes to actually get best in slot items or best in slot gear. And it's not just roll with this stat, but does it roll with the stat and does it roll it high? And does it roll the correct stats and roll them high? Or the stats that I want for my build, and does it roll it high? So they're going to make a lot of high-end loot fall from the skies, I guess, and that's going to be good. You're going to be able to get what they said is better loot from doing challenge mode. You're going to get better loot in the Dark Zone. You're going to get better loot from those chests that drop in the Dark Zone, so that's going to be awesome. They said 240 gear in the Dark Zone. And speaking of the Dark Zone, there's another announcement that went along with that. They're going to be including a new bracket. That's a 200-plus gear score bracket in the Dark Zone. So that's going to be interesting. It's going to be nice. They said the best loot's going to be in there. Obviously, if you're in a lower bracket, you're still going to get good loot, so that way you can progress up to that bracket. They also said that in the 200-plus gear score bracket, that all division tech is going to be high-end. So that's going to be interesting. That's going to be awesome. So those are just a few little things they talked about there. They also talked about weapon balancing, right? Because right now everyone's using an SMG. Let's face it. I mean, everyone's using an SMG. That's what's happening. So they want to make other weapons more viable in the game, and to do that, they're going to need to buff them. So what they said is, moving forward, instead of doing nerfs, they're going to do buffs. So instead of saying, okay, let's nerf SMGs down, let's actually buff the other guns so they're just as good, or whatever, so they're on par, so they're better than they are right now. And I think we're going to be able, I'm really curious, I should say, to see what that's going to look like, but I think it's a really good approach. Instead of going through and just saying, okay, this is too powerful, this is too powerful, we're going to nerf the tar out of it and, ruin people's builds or ruin people's gameplay that they currently have. They're going to say, hey, you know what, we're going to actually give you these other avenues to pursue that are going to be just as good, maybe even better. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how their balancing goes. They didn't really give any details, but they did say no nerfs, just buffs. So I think that's a really good approach. That's a really good philosophy to have. Of course, there's going to be bug fixes in 1.2. Reckless is going to be fixed. So there's actually going to be some people out there that are going to be like, oh my god, I'm way squishier than I used to be. And that's going to be the reason why. So don't get too used to a build that has Reckless on it right now, because you're going to be way squishier coming up. So those are some of the things that we know about right now, that I'm aware of anyway. And those are all good sounding things. We all have high hopes. They haven't put a date on 1.2 yet. They said they want to get things fixed. They want to get things working correctly. They want to make sure that this next patch is actually going to do, what they say it's going to do. That we're not going to have all these bugs that were, basically exploited in 1.1. and that the next incursion is actually going to be good. So hopefully, again, we'll see how they deliver, but hopefully it will be good. I have hope. Who knows? Hopefully, you know, that's all I can say. We have hope, and as more details come out, I'm very excited about that. So, still a few issues in the game that aren't addressed by what's upcoming that they really haven't talked about. I still have Dark Zone jitter, or lag. Actually, more and more people have complained about lag, and I don't know if it's because they've moved more balance and checks, checks onto the servers, if because they're making other tweaks server side that are more intense, so they can try and detect cheaters or different things like that. I'm not really sure what it is, but it seems like I've run into Dark Zone lag a whole lot more. And there's two different issues here. One is Dark Zone jitter, and that's what I'm talking about, where like my screen does a stutter or freezing thing every once in a while when I'm running in the Dark Zone. That can be very annoying. It's actually killed me, not a lot, but it has killed me at times. The other is Dark Zone lag, and this sometimes you can't really tell is happening until it's way too late. What I mean by that is this. I actually went through the other day, and this is the worst experience I have ever had in Dark Zone lag. I was trying to kill a rogue, they were trying to kill me, we were inside a building, I was shooting him, just blasting away at him. It seems like I really wasn't doing any damage to him. Next thing I know, I'm down. Well, this wasn't a fight between just him and me, there were several people there, and someone else put him down after I died. Now, I'm on one side of the room, this player on my client, or on my screen, is on the other side of the room. I drop down, someone else drops him. Once he drops down to the ground, he slides all the way across the room and behind my downed character. Now think about that for a moment. That means that actually, while I was trying to kill him across the room, he was actually behind me putting bullets in my head. And that didn't work out too well. At least not for me. Yeah. So, just things like that are just... those need to be worked on. Those need to be improved. I understand it's an RPG game. I believe they talked about some of the way the servers were designed and how all the NPCs and all their actions happen on the servers, and that's a good thing. But at the same time, they need to make sure those servers aren't being overloaded, and that maybe with the new things and tweaks they're making to the game servers, that maybe they need to go through and adjust how many players they allow on those servers, or optimization on those or something. It's not a good playable experience, and I've noticed it happening, not all the time, but more and more it seems that I am dealing with laggy players, or laggy games. And the way I can tell it's laggy players, I will dump clip after clip after clip into them, it seems, and I just don't do any damage. And it's not that I'm doing low numbers, it's literally the damage isn't showing up, and I'm emptying half a clip into their head. And other players on the same server, it's not just me either, other players on the same server, boom, no problem, I'll do damage to them, they'll do damage to me just fine, and, we have a nice hard battle and everything's cool. And then other players, it's like, it doesn't matter what you do, your damage just isn't registering. Or they die and slide halfway across, a room. And that's a very poor experience. It's a very, very poor experience. So, that's my biggest complaint, is things like that. And that's honestly, at this point in time, being as, the things they're announcing and the things they're waiting for in 1.2, that's my biggest complaint, is Dark Zone lag, really. They know they had a problem with drops, they said they're going to address it, they know if a problem with glitches, they said they're going to address that. There's a new thing going around that may or may not be true about the Sentry's Call set, and the sentry marks, and whether or not they're bugged. I don't know. I wish I tried to dig into that really far today, all over Reddit, looking all over forums to see if someone had verified it 100%. There's a lot of theories going back and forth on whether or not that's bugged. I personally feel that they might actually be onto something there, because sometimes I've gone up against, had level 30 NPCs almost wreck me, and then when I first go into the Dark Zone from having logged in from a fresh login, I'm just tearing them apart and they can't touch me. And then after playing for a few hours and getting into some PvP encounters, because that's just what I do, I walk in the Dark Zone and it's PvP world, which is, that's so fun for me. And then all of a sudden, it just seems like as time progresses, I'm weaker and weaker and weaker. It could just be I'm becoming shittier and I'm getting tired. And I don't know. I'm not saying that that's actually happening. It could just be a false perception on my part and any of these other players' parts. I don't know. It could be something else. But that right now is something that it's a rumor going around that there's a bug with that, and that these stacks of increased damage to your character aren't fully going away, or they're bugged in some way. And I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. So, I mean, there is that. But beyond that, that's about it. That's about it, guys. I still enjoy playing the game. It's still a beautiful game. I highly suggest if you haven't played it to go and play it. And that's about it. I really wish I had more details. Again, I'm hoping that this week's State of the Game, they'll release some more information about stuff that's upcoming in 1.2. And next week's, I'll be able to talk about that. How awesome would that be? Or if they make a big announcement video or show a lot of gameplay footage, I will upload as much of that gameplay footage just like I did with 1.1. So what they did was they had the announcement for 1.1, they showed gameplay footage. I talked to the community manager, I don't know how to say his name well. I messaged him on Twitter and I said, hey, can I use that in-game footage in a video? And he said, well, it depends. And I said, I just want to grab it all together, compile it all together, and talk about it, and just use your guys' in-game video from your stream. And he said, that should be fine with me. And, I went ahead and did it. So, if that happens again on this week's, State of the Game that's going to be happening on Thursday, I believe, if they show a lot of gameplay footage of the upcoming incursion, I'm going to compile all of that together. It was time-consuming. That's why I was like, compile all of that together. It was time-consuming, but I did it, and I will do it again. I will compile all the gameplay footage that they show of the upcoming incursion, and I'll put it together. So that's what I'm hoping for, anyway, that my next video will contain. But who knows? We'll see. Anyway, I just want to thank you guys for the support. I want to thank you for listening. Please let me know what you think in the comments. Are you happy for 1.2? Are you happy about the announcements? Do you think it's going to be awesome? Have you given up on the game? I hope not, but, there's a lot of people that have. I still think it has so much potential, and I really hope that they have people that realize the potential of the game, that are still working there, developing future content, and that they're willing to not just say, look, this is kind of our initial vision and that's it. No, to progress forward and to take feedback from the community and really make something out of this game. It's just so much potential there. It's amazing. And I realize you can't just be in love with the game's potential that's never going to be there, right? But I still have a lot of fun playing it, even in its current state, even with the bugs, even with Dark Zone lag, and me dying from time to time. I still, overall, I still have a good experience playing the game. DZ lag is the only thing right now really hurting me, I feel. And besides that, I've got to report a couple glitchers here and there, but that's part of the game. Anyway, again, thank you for listening. Tune in next week. I will definitely have another video out around this time. And I appreciate if you like the video, please like and subscribe. Thank you.